All right, we are back, Michael Dean and I. Yes, we are super excited for week 6 of What Did Prince Do This Week? And while we're waiting for you to join, we're going to go through some of the housekeeping that we have to do in case you're seeing this for the first time. The estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. We're going week to week, not date to date, in Duane Tudahl's Prince and the Purple Rain Era Studio Sessions 1983 and 1984, the expanded edition. You can follow our reading schedule. Hold on, Michael Dean, let me find my mouse so I can get you on the solo. There we go. Yes, that's what we're doing. Good morning, C. Lee, first in the chat.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning, Minneapolis, instead of Vietnamians.
Yes.
Good morning, Uptown.
Good morning, Uptown. Love that, Michael Dean. Good morning, Mila. Good morning, Arlene. I love that howdy because, I'm from Alabama. So I appreciate that. And I'm still learning how to use StreamYard, even though I've used it for years. Okay, so we're following this detailed schedule, but I want to put up C. Lee's disclaimer. Okay, we don't know them mofos and don't care if they don't like the funk we lay it.
There you go. Yeah. Damn it.
Yes. Good evening, Annie. Thank you so much. Hi, Eldabara. You missed your gift that you gave us, but we're moving forward with all of your gifts of gift. My alliterative brother is in the house, Blade Brown. Brandy T720 is also in the house. All right. And then we should already know you don't need the expanded edition, but that's what the schedule is based on. And I humbly ask of you to please let your Prince Purple people know about this What Did Prince Do This Week series. Have them subscribe, like, and help spread the word. Again, because I think Duane's work is important, but more important than that, I think it's important to dive a little deeper on a weekly basis of what Prince was doing to inspire us to do more in our weeks. Or I'll take that on myself, inspire me to do more with my weeks. And Michael Dean is all about working it like a job.
You already know. So let's go.
Yes, we go. Yes, indeed. We got Lisa Williams from Houston. We got Drea Dances from Chicago. We got Roseanne, Vanessa Warren. We got La Tan. Thanks, everybody, for being here on your Saturday. Depending on where you are in the time zones, it may or may not be afternoon, but we appreciate you being here live because you are what makes this very, very special. So let's kind of get started. So last week, we talked a lot about the 1982 leg of the 1999 tour, and Edgar Krauser, also known as Cruz in the States, but his name is actually Edgar Krauser. And I'm probably mispronouncing it even as I say that. Hi, Stone Freak. Thank you for being here.
Stone Freak. I didn't even pick up that that's what that name was, but yeah. Hilarious.
Yeah, Stone Freak. Thank you so much, Roseanne. You'll understand, or if anybody knows anything about Prince this week, you should know why I'm wearing red. But we will find out if you don't know. Hi, the ATL is in the house.
In the A.
And yes, of course, the Purple Army is always in full effect. So Edgar sent me some really awesome documentation. This is actually the original tour itinerary. And as you can see, there's a typewriter going on. This is before the computer.
Wow.
And look at that bind. We got some binder there. And what I really like about looking at this show schedule, it's really funny when you talk about Prince. I don't know how you feel about this, Michael Dean. When I read this and saw Off, I was like, I know Prince wasn't off, but they have all the shows and it has Off and the Off. And then if you kind kind of get down there from Monday 20 through 27th of December, it actually says Christmas break. And I didn't even really make that connection when I laid it out before seeing this, and it was a break. But I'm wondering, like, did Prince really take a break? So
yeah, I would say this is probably for the state of mind and comfort for the crew and everybody else but Prince. So it doesn't look like you're going to be working every day because, like you said, Prince probably never stopped. Like somebody was going to be working, but okay, the tour, okay, yeah, you guys get a couple breaks and you get a Christmas break, but I'm sure like he was still like, I'm going to the studio, or that don't mean the band ain't working probably. Like,
yeah, most def. Welcome, Lee Christian. Thank you so much for being here. And Mila is in agreement. I'm sure he didn't. And yes, see, Lee, I think it's probably Kinko's or Office Depot Spire Binder talking
that was
about
official back then, though.
Yes.
Black dude from black organization that had that, they was like, oh, we doing it. We talking about it's typed out.
We doing it.
Morris and them like, oh, it's typed out. Like they got it in a okay.
Yes, indeed. And I love Blake Brown's comment. Imagine a typo. Once you get to that last date, major stress. Indeed.
Some people don't know nothing about no typos. That's a whole different generation.
Or whiteout.
Compared to today, you just
Yep. All right. And so in addition to this, Edgar also sent me this. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is you can see where Prince stayed. So I'm most interested in the Atlanta dates because that's where I was at the time. So he was rocking out at the Atlanta Sheraton in November. And then in Philly, he was rocking the Holiday Inn.
Hey. Get in where you fit in, Prince. That was the budget. I ain't mad.
Yes, we are not mad at that. Yes. And let's see, that was November. And then in December, I don't have December dates for this, but I only have the November. Okay, so here we go. And this is the typewritten itinerary for February of the 1999 tour. And you can see that February 17th was canceled in Columbus, Georgia. I just love handwritten notes, and we're still rocking Kinko's or Office Depot, and we got the spiral bound action happening. Yes, Brandy, we have to break out the correction tape. Yes. Happy Saturday, Stephanie. As always, thank you for being here.
Misspelled. That's right. Just don't let Prince see it.
Yes, just don't let Prince see it. Yes, someone heard my whiteout reference. Yes, haven't seen that in forever. Most folks probably don't even know what whiteout is. If not, do your Googles, as Michael Dean would say.
I don't even know if whiteout they'd even sell that today. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah. Yes, Elder Bar. We got to give a shout out to Edgar, who collects all the stuff that nobody else collects. Man with receipts. I like it. Yes. All right. Oh, and yes. That was super professional back in the day. What? Lee Christian says that the dude from the Monkees, the band, the Monkees' mom invented whiteout, if not mistaken. Which is really interesting because actually one of Duane's favorite bands is the Monkees. So if he ever watches this, he might know, or maybe I could need to follow up with Duane. He should know if one of the Monkees' moms invented whiteout.
The Monkees, like on the TV show, the Monkees?
Yeah, it was a band called the Monkees.
I didn't know it was a real band. I just thought it was
Yes, it was a real band, so much so that actually Jimi Hendrix opened for them. It didn't last very long, though. He made it for 1 or 2 days.
Hey, with a monkey.
Yes.
I just thought there was some fun kids. It was, I'm learning something.
No. And so we got Tis True. We got Hi, Baron.
You invented liquid.
Thank you for being here. She invented liquid paper. Yes, I forgot about that, Baron. It was called liquid paper. And I think that we just called it whiteout, but I think it was called Yep. All right. So we got a lot of info. I love doing this. I love doing this with
Yeah,
the
I'm
community.
learning. Like,
I'm
okay,
learning. You
making
guys
the
are learning
Monkees
us.
white out, mama. Wait till I be on Jeopardy or something. Crazy on.
Yes. Interesting. So Stone Freak says, I used to watch the Monkees as a kid. I was today years old. I thought they were making fun of the Beatles.
That's what I thought.
Yep. And C. Lee also knows. But I think we've confirmed, C. Lee, that indeed it was. And I love this comment, Stone Freak. I done learned something today. Yes, we all have. All right. So let's see what else is on the slides here. Okay, and let's get into what did Prince do this week number 6 in 1983. And we got 3 live shows and 1 studio visit total. And here is the calendar view that I'm beginning to love because I'm more of a visual person.
Yeah.
So we got Roanoke, Virginia on the 6th. He went to the studio to do some keyboards on Stevie Nicks' song, Stand Back. That's the reason why El DeBarra's gift was all about Stand Back at the beginning slide. And then Little Red Corvette was released on February 9th, 1983. Then he did a couple dates, one in Providence, Rhode Island, and then another one in Hartford, Connecticut. And again, this map is from princevault.com. We always have to give a shout out to Prince Vault, who is the Prince Bible. We can't live without Prince Vault. It's so important. And you can see that they're making their way up the East Coast. So they went from Richmond, Virginia to Roanoke, and then they went up to Providence, Rhode Island, and then Hartford, Connecticut. So that's kind of where we are on the second leg of the tour. So a little bit about Stand Back. It is on Stevie Nicks' 1983 album, The Wild Heart, released 3 days after Prince's birthday. I think that I believe in coincidences or not coincidences. And the single was actually released of Stand Back in 1983. You can see that it says it's written by Stevie Nicks. There's no Prince to be found anywhere. I'm sure a lot of Stevie Nicks fans don't know anything about Prince's involvement, but it was recorded supposedly at Studio 55 in Los Angeles. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to read a little bit right now from the book, because that's why we're here. So get out your expanded edition, and we're going to go to what page are we going to? We are going to page 28.
Chapter 20, verse. Like church. Past the start.
Yeah. Are we there? And everyone's never there. Okay, so we're actually going to start off in the middle. What's really great about Duane's book is anywhere that Prince is quoted is actually bolded. So we're going to start off with Prince's quote, because I love to start off with Prince. And Prince says, "When I got there, her," meaning Stevie Nicks, "and Jimmy Iovine," and everybody should know about Jimmy Iovine, one of the greatest producers ever, produced Tupac, if that helps. Like he's basically the guy behind Interscope Records.
Mm-hmm.
Into your hip hop and rap. Jimmy Iovine couldn't figure out how to work the drum machine, because on this particular session, if you go back a page, the producer is Jimmy Iovine, and the engineer on this was Shelly Yakis. And I love back then, like the female engineers were representing. I'm assuming Shelly is a female. Obviously, I need to make sure that's correct. So Prince says, because people were using live drums at that point, so I went down there and programmed it for them and pretty much played most of the song there in about 20 or 30 minutes, which sounds like Prince, like nothing. Just like
they couldn't even operate the drum machine. There's a lot of shade in what he said, the way he said it, but I get it. That's my man, though.
I don't know if it was shade, because he's right. I'm sure, like
undercurrent and with Prince, he was saying something in the press, especially like something like this. Like they couldn't. Look, he name checked Jimmy Iovine, who, like you said, he's basically saying how he gonna be the greatest. He can't operate the thing. I just came in like beep, beep, boop, boop, and jazz.
Yes, yes, but
I get you, man.
Stone Freak says old drum machines were hard to program. I believe that.
Well, you had to really be on. It was because it was for people who was really up on some next level stuff. Like, yeah. So, but you would assume Jimmy Iovine would have. But I get it. Go ahead. You read.
Yep, yep. I'm reading because there are some very interesting quotes from Stevie Nicks, as Lee Christian points out. So here we go. Here's Stevie Nicks. He came in, listened to the song, very cool, very quiet. And I said, "Do you hate it?" And he said, "No, it's okay. It's cool." And they set up an OB8 for him, and he played the do 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 do, the 1/16th note thing, and then he did it like one time. And then he went to the middle part where it goes de-dat, 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 de-dat. I don't know what part that is. Yeah. Nicks will later add that Prince walked over to the synthesizers that were set up, was absolutely brilliant for about 25 minutes, and then left. So he came in and he split. Like, let me show you.
Yeah, you go.
He's like, let me show you. You don't know. So it says Prince supposedly also added several tracks. Ultimately, they didn't use everything he played, but his synth part can be heard prominently in the final mix. Nick's 1991 Time Space Tour book summed up the way the song came together. It never belonged to me. It has always belonged to the world and to Prince, who inspired the entire song. If you really listen carefully, you can sing Stand Back along to Little Red Corvette, and you can sing Little Red Corvette along to Stand Back, she said. So I gave him half of the song for that inspiration. So I'm assuming by half of that song, she means half of the publishing. I could be wrong. If anybody knows that, please let me know in the chat. So for those of you who are new to Prince, because Michael Dean wants to make sure that we're schooling the newbies. The story goes that Stevie Nicks was driving in a car, or I don't know if she was driving, but she was in a car. They were going down a highway, and Little Red Corvette comes on the radio, and she pulls over, or has the car pulled over, and she is just like inspired on the spot to write the song Stand Back. And because Little Red Corvette was an inspiration for Stand Back, she just wanted to check in with Prince because she felt it seemed really closely in song structure to Little Red Corvette that he was okay with it. And that's actually how the connection to Little Red Corvette. And it is true, you can sing, one to the other, or and so on and so forth. So I thought that was really fantastic that she wanted to make sure and check in with him. Michael Dean.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask, like, and I'm going to put myself in this boat. Who is Stevie Nicks? I know a lot of people may not know who she is. Even back then, I had heard her name, but I was not familiar. At least I didn't think I was familiar with her work or music. But I remember when this came out and I started to hear, I was like, oh, okay. I seen it on MTV or something. That sounds kind of cool, actually. But what's the big deal that Stevie Nicks, works with Prince? If you can kind of speak to that.
Yeah. So I'm actually trying to. I'm so glad you're doing this with me, Michael Dean, because I forget. So you have to understand. Remember my Uncle Charles and Uncle Carl and my Aunt Ned. I grew up in a household full of music, so I actually knew who Stevie Nicks was, and I'm trying to pull up this image. It's not going to be the best because I'm doing this on the spot, but let me come over here. I think it's important to talk about this. Fleetwood Mac Rumours is actually one of the best-selling albums of all time, and actually is a bona fide classic. So growing up in Alabama, I heard this album constantly because of my uncles that we talked about previously and my aunt. So I actually knew who Stevie Nicks was because of Fleetwood Mac. And if you know anything about Stevie Nicks, you know that she has a very distinctive voice, like one of the most distinctive voices of all time. So she was a star. Fleetwood Mac was huge in the 70s. And so members of the Fleetwood Mac, who Stevie Nicks was one of them, basically embarked on a solo career, which was a really big deal. Yes, Mila, I'm with you. Dreams is one of my favorite songs. Thank you, Tracy, for showing up. We are actually on page 28 right now. Thank you. Yes.
Late.
Thank you for one. Tracy's not late. Don't do that.
Let's see you after class.
Tracy, you're right on time. Don't listen to Michael D. Yes. So Kim agrees. Dreams is the one. See, Lee.
That's what I was. Oh, that's like, is Rumours a remake?
No.
That was a certified smash.
Oh my God. And then Blake Brown said that the LM1 probably had an easier learning curve for him because of his obsessive drive and not being afraid of mistakes. Yes, this has been floating around this past week, a clip of Shania Twain saying Prince discussed making an album like Rumours with her. That is correct. Thank you for saying that, Lee Christian. I'm so happy that all of us are here together, sharing the knowledge. And yes, Baron, lead singer for Fleetwood Mac.
And I'm asking too, because it's like, again, for an accomplished star musician as her to want to work with Prince, who was not a superstar at this time. Like, he was on the come up, but people in the game knew who he was and was like, shit, I'm influenced enough by this. Get him on the song and let's give him half or whatever that meant. That's a big deal. It is a big deal, right?
It's a huge deal, but it just really speaks to Prince has always been a musician's musician.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Never stopped. So Annie comments, she was going on her honeymoon. Thank you so much for this additional context, and got her new husband to stop, and they bought a cassette recorder so she could record the song. Wow. Okay. And Mila says, I'm glad she did that. And then Stone Freak, we're going back and forth between Stevie Nicks and the drum machine. I had a Linn drum, and those are hard in song mode. That's why most songs with Linn drum only have the same 2 or 4 bar loops. And that's where, Prince was really a genius with a lot of his drum programming. It's like insane what he did. All right. So we want to,
which I'm gonna add as you were getting ready to transition, just what you just said, and it's a lineage of cats that do that. You know what I'm saying? Like Prince was doing that. Let's learn how to stone freak this drum machine. Your Teddy Rileys, your Timberlands, Mantronics. There's a lot of cats that we was cold on drum machines. Like we had to learn how to master that. Maybe you didn't have a guitar or whatever. Prince had them all, but I'm just saying that's a tradition of cats that can freak a drum machine, SB12 or J Dilla's, whoever it is, where Prince is in that camp.
Yeah, speaking of J Dilla, I am extremely thrilled that Dan Charnas, the author of Dilla Time, is going to be joining us at the 1999 Triple Threat Symposium to talk about the drum machine and the Linn drum. So I'm
listening to that. I'm gonna be taking notes. Absolutely.
Yes. I love Roseanne's comment. There were a lot of entanglements in Fleetwood Mac, but we're not going to talk about those because our hour is going to go fast. But yes, I acknowledge the entanglements. Thank you for that.
Interesting.
Yes.
Free social media.
Yes, indeed. And I love that Eldorado wrote, she knew a hit when she heard it, Little Red Corvette. And yes, we got to show Dilla, always got to show some love. So I wanted to read a little bit on the end of page 28 and the top of 29 to round out our Stand Back conversation. Stand Back was released in May of 1983 on, we already covered this, by Stevie Nicks on the Wild Heart. The single landing at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 2 on the Billboard Top Tracks. This was Prince's highest charting song on the Billboard Hot 100 to date. So this leads me to believe that I think he did get half of the publishing, but again, I could be wrong. It would be great if someone could verify that for me. Oh my God, Celie.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I was looking at that like, she's messy. What? What part of the game?
Okay. Yeah. And we got it. Yeah. Dilla Time was incredible. If you haven't read Dilla Time, and if we weren't doing this deep dive, we would follow up with Dilla Time. But we got 6 years into this. What did Prince do this week so far? So others going to have to wait. All right. Welcome, Nick. Thank you
What's
for
up, Nick?
And oh my God, Audra, thanks so much for
Yeah.
listening from Minneapolis. Audra, unlike me, went to Love to the Nines, and we've been seeing the photos on Twitter and everywhere. It looked like it was a fantastic event. I really wish that I could have gone, but you know, I'm saving up that celebration money. You know how it goes. So
I'm surprised somebody in the fam hasn't started the Purple Credit Union or something where you just put in your money, build up your money for celebrations.
We totally need a Purple Credit Union. Oh my goodness.
They got the new bed sheets for sale. Did you get your money?
Yes, yes. So Stone Freak, I can't stress this enough. Dilla Time is an incredible book. And even more incredible is if you can get the audiobook version, because Dan Charnas reads it. I only get audiobooks if the author reads it. And it's actually a really phenomenal one because there's some musical stuff that, you know, he beatbox and stuff to really get across. So I would highly recommend the audiobook if you can. Thank you, Stone Freak, for doing both the symposium and the celebration. Really appreciate it because sometimes people choose between one or the other. And yes, Ricky Darlinisi, as always, has a dope Twitter thread about the Love to the Nines event. She looked fantastic as always. And Tommy Barbarella was definitely in the house for Love to the Nines. And Roseanne is like Amen and Me. Listen to Dilla Time is a better experience. It's actually really, really great. And I actually didn't know this, that that is now in paperback with some updates. Thank you, Kim, for letting me know that. And Blade Brown said, that's a good idea. I'll buy a Jughead keychain if it goes towards some celebration rewards.
Hysterical.
All right. Okay, so remember I showed a little bit of the Studio 55 letterhead, which is on Melrose Avenue in Los Angeles, where supposedly it was recorded. But in the book, Duane writes, there have been reports, including Nick's personal recollection on several occasions, that Prince's part of the track was recorded at Sunset Sound. According to official accounts, though, it was most likely recorded at Studio 55 on Melrose Avenue in Los Angeles. So, yeah. Some more stuff about Dilla Time. Audio was fantastic. Started reading the hardcover and switched to audio. I like to do both, like listen and then highlight, you know, so you can go back in the book. And then Tracy got, I say $25 a week and extra when I can for celebration. Tracy, school us. Show us how it's done.
That's the quote that you put on the website right there. Tracy says, yes, I save $25 a week and extra when I can. You better join. Welcome to the new Power Credit Union. Hey, the state, there you go. You want our money? There you go. You can hold it for us.
There you go.
You know what? They could just call it the Paisley Park layaway plan.
You know, Michael Dean, I don't know if many people know about layaway. I know about layaway.
Like bring that back, like layaway. I guess, but then if they now let me slow down because I'm talking. I was gonna say if they put it out on Black History Month, that might seem a little funny, but anyway, let's continue.
Oh my God. All right. And Roseanne, tax return time. Ooh, Lee Christian says for a long time, Ice Cream Castles was his alarm.
Interesting.
And then Lee Christian says, what is this word saving that keeps coming?
They're gonna pretty soon they'll take that out of circulation. Like, you can't talk about saving.
Yeah.
No saving.
Oh my God, Michael Dean, you're so on it. Yeah.
I'm done. I'm gonna stop. Go back to the show.
Let me put 5.
Put 5 on it. Remix. MTG.
Okay. Here, okay, one more. We gotta do one more. Oh, so we're gonna be seeing Sister Tracy and Brother Dean's infomercial at 2 a.m.
I'm gonna be on the side of the websites you really ain't supposed to be on. There's gonna a little ad pop up. Oh, I see algorithms. You like Prince stuff. Well, check out the.
And I love the second line. I'm sure I still have school clothes on layaway. I'm sure a lot of folks do.
Don't put your parents on blast like that.
Oh my God. Oh boy. You guys keep it coming. Michael Dean, we should apply for summer jobs at Paisley Park just for the events.
There you go. I like that.
And Barry going to put it on layaway. Great. I didn't realize that was a great Isley Brothers song. I didn't know Isley Brothers had a song about layaway.
Huh.
All right. So I want, before we get into, actually, you know what? We're going to get into Little Red Corvette, and then hopefully we can go back to the beginning of the chapter, because I thought the beginning of the chapter is really interesting. All right. So going back to the slides. So as we said before, on February 9th, which was Wednesday this past week in 1983, Little Red Corvette was released as a single featuring the album track All the Critics Love You in New York as a B-side. The song will reach number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts in the United States on May 21st, 1983. And I actually don't have this 45, even though I collected 45s back then, and I'll tell you why, for a couple of reasons. One, this didn't have a non-album B-side, and I was all about non-album B-sides. I'm only 12 right now, and so I'm saving my money for my lunch money to get these 12 inches and singles. So one, it didn't have a B-side, so that I wasn't gonna roll with that. And then even as a 12-year-old, I found Little Red Corvette too pop, too mainstream, and I was like, "What is Prince doing?" Yes.
Wow.
I was like, "What is Prince doing?" Because I came in on Dirty Mind. That's a 10-year-old.
He was critical from day one.
I was critical from day one. Yeah, I was like, "What is this? This is not." And so, Michael Dean, like you'll find this really interesting. So going back to my uncles who were playing everything, and one of their core groups were Parliament Funkadelic. Like I heard a lot of Parliament Funkadelic, and so if anybody who knows about P-Funk, you know that they were very experimental. They were not pop at all. And so that was one of the things that I loved about Prince was experimental Prince, because I saw him as lineage from P-Funk, because that's what my uncles were playing, right? Okay. So when Little Red Corvette came out, I was like, this is like pretty mainstream. It's pretty pop. It's nothing really like rah, rah, rah about it. I was like, what is going on? And I got concerned. I was like, what is? And actually, when we get to Purple Rain, you're going to hear, I got really concerned when Purple Rain came out, because it was too pop. It was too commercial. And I was used to the Rude Boy. I was used to, Tanya Pendleton in one of the symposiums, I don't know, the last one or one before last, talked about Prince having ratty hair. Like I was with ratty hair Prince.
I got you.
I went with polished Prince. I wasn't with, remember the Bobby Z quote from last week?
Yeah,
where he talked about when the shiny coat came out, the shiny purple coat that you actually see.
You didn't want to see him flossing. I get it.
Yeah, it was getting glossy. It was no longer rough and raw, and and I was getting concerned as a 12-year-old. I was like, what is going on?
The fact that you were on that at 12 that's deep, man. Like, but that coming from listening to Parliament, I could see that.
Yeah. I was like, what is going on? I was like, I'm not buying no Little Red Corvette. Because you gotta have priorities. All right, so
well, I'm curious. What song did you think you should have came out with off of the album?
Well, I was a big the song that I still love to this day, my favorite song then, my favorite song now is Something in the Water Does Not Compute. See, I was that that girl.
That says it all. Like, okay,
Doesn't that say it all? Yeah. So that was me. And the second one that I was really thrilled about was AUT-O-Matic, but actually more so for the video because it was just like out there. I didn't really know what was going on because I wasn't, I wasn't sexually active. So, but I just knew he was doing something wrong.
You saw the videos back then?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yep.
where would you watch that at?
I don't know. So I went to a lot of record conventions. I don't know if you remember record conventions, and there was a lot of bootleg stuff, and sometimes they would have promotional VHS tapes and things of that nature that you can buy with all the videos on it. So
That's right. I remember that.
yeah, I was a massive record convention person. So I'm sure that's where I got it from. So you can see, you guys can't see, but you can see that Little Red Corvette is 3 minutes and 8 seconds on the single. I love the original Warner Brothers logo. I don't know if you've seen the most recent Warner Brothers logo. It upsets me seeing the new Warner Brothers logo on some of the Prince reissues. It's not the same. And then you also see the controversy music ASCAP. I always love seeing controversy music. And then in addition to this A side, you had All the Critics Love You in New York, the B side. And yeah, Kim understands. Kim says that makes sense, D'Angela. New wavier type sounds. And let's see what Stone Freak's talking about. Atlanta had Channel 69. They had a video show that played automatic, and then they've been a skin flick. Then they'd be a skin flick, no joke. Yeah. And Barron also says we saw automatic on UHF Channel 68.
UHF, man, you old.
Jersey. And I was also 12 at the time. I was blown away by AUT-O-Matic, way more than Little Red Corvette. Thank you, Freya. I appreciate that. And
it was 12 and ages. Listen to this.
But you have to understand, Michael, like it keeps going back to my uncles. Like for instance, I didn't know what Trojans were. I thought they were talking about horses.
Right.
I was like,
we
okay.
knew what he was talking about was let's pretend we married.
Yeah, but the thing is, I really wasn't shocked. So like growing up like with like free your mind and your ass will follow, like all that kind of stuff. Like it just wasn't shocking. And I grew, even though I don't curse, I grew up in a household that had some cursing, not all the time. And I don't know, it was a different time. I'm trying to see if let's see. This is pretty funny. My wife calls me a music snob when this pop music. I don't know if you were going to continue that. And then Lee Christian says, when I was young and poor, I wouldn't get anything Prince that didn't have new songs on it. I'm with you, Lee Christian. Yes. Ricky, non-album B-sides was a standard back then. Yes. This is a good question. Was that the only one without a B-side joint? For 1999, I can't. We'll go to Prince Vault and see. I'm sure I'm missing a lot. You guys are chatting a lot today, and I can't keep up with everyone. I saw AUT-O-Matic on BET in 1993.
That's when I saw it too.
And Celie said that the original iteration of BET played videos and controversy in 1999 every night, as well as Prince and Dirty Mind.
Okay.
This is funny. I remember asking my dad what "let's pretend we're married" meant, and he said kissing and holding hands. That's a good answer from a dad. Yes, Stone Freak, I'm with you here. I thought Minneapolis was the coolest place on earth more than New York City as a kid. So did I. In fact, I didn't go to Minneapolis until, like, my friends were going to the celebrations that Prince put on, and I never went because I knew if I went to Minneapolis, I would never return. And Prince already like consumed so much of my life. I was like, it was literally my kryptonite. I mean, I didn't even consider it, Michael Dean. Like when my friends were going, we're going to Minneapolis for celebration. I was like, okay, have fun because I'm not going because I
Wow.
knew that I would probably never come back. So I stayed my butt in Georgia at the time.
That's just wow.
Yeah. So let's go, but we got a few more slides. And oh my God, we only got 20 minutes. This goes by super fast. Now, I should have, my husband got this out for me because I should have showed this when we were talking about the Little Red Corvette dance remix back in January. But this is actually an illustration that Prince did. I'm assuming it might have been for like his version of like Get Off Maxi single, but for the Little Red Corvette maxi single. This is an assumption on my part. I would have loved it if this would have came out back then as the cover because I'm really into signatures and I love Prince's playfulness. So this is one of his illustrations. So far in 1983, Prince has done 10 live shows total and 7 studio visits total. The asterisks for Electric Intercourse, not knowing whether or not that was really happened in 1983 or not. All right. And Ricky said that I thought Minneapolis was like how people view Wakanda today. Yes, I love that comment. Very much so. All right. So I don't want to talk like I did last time. Michael Dean, is there anything else you want to say before I jump back to the beginning of the chapter?
This is the one time I'll say no. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So we want to go back to the beginning of the chapter and we're going to go to page 27. Sunday, February 6th, 1983. Actually, I don't know why. Oh, I do know why. So Duane, and this is about the Roanoke, Virginia show. Okay, I'm going to read this entire thing. So bear with me because it's important. Only half of the seats for this show were sold. And the capacity was 9,828 seats and only 5,115 tickets were sold. While on the road, the time as a live act was gaining strength. Prince created the Frankenstein monster, remembered Morris Day. It was little when it hatched. It was nothing to fear. Then the shit grew and grew right before his eyes, and we started to come into our own. It got ugly for him some nights. He had to come behind us, and we only had 30 minutes to perform, but it was a dangerous 30 minutes. And this is Jellybean Johnson speaking. We couldn't wait to get to the next show. Let's whoop some ass some more. That's satisfaction. Then Jesse Johnson remembered. We used to laugh about it. He'd come in the dressing room some nights, every night practically, and have these big talks with Morris and say, don't you guys go out there and do this? And we'd go, oh, okay, you got it, cool. And then he'd leave and we'd go out and do it anyway and just get in trouble and get docked because it got to the point where we couldn't take that stuff anymore. So we just started getting in trouble, just going, hey, whatever is going to happen, because it had got to a point that it was utterly ridiculous. Brown Mark remembered talking to Prince about the time strength. Brown Mark says, I used to have conversations with Prince every night. I'd be like, these cats are burning it up. They are burning up the stage, dude. And he's like, they don't got nothing on us. You watch. And Morris Day says back in 1984, there was to be only one headliner. So Prince was it. And on February 6th, it says Prince was originally scheduled to fly back to Minneapolis during a 3-day break from the tour. But instead, he traveled to Los Angeles. And that's where he laid down the tracks for Stand Back for Stevie Nicks.
Does it did we ever get a real answer to this sort of like competition between these bands live? Would the Revolution ever been able to handle the time if Prince would have said, hey, just let them play and like we're gonna have to battle it out? Like did we ever really get an answer to that? I'm not talking about, of course, he wrote all the songs or created all that. I know that. I'm just saying in terms of the time that band playing Prince's music versus the Revolution playing Prince's music. And when they had to go on stage or tour together, do we ever really get a question to like, did the Revolution ever really top them or not? Like,
Yeah.
just kind of removed them from the equation, or they sort of removed themselves later. But I wonder what the Purple Rain tour would have been like. They was like on the Bird, and now you can't tell them not to do the Bird.
Right.
That would have been. I was just curious what he would have done. But anyway, I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, I have been last year, I listened to a lot of Controversy live shows. And in listening to the Controversy live shows, I realized that I haven't been giving Bobby Z his credit. Bobby Z is actually a really good drummer. But what happened is with 1999 in particular and Purple Rain is he started using the electronic drums.
Mm-hmm.
And analog drums compared to electronic drums, in my personal opinion, my personal preference, analog drums beat electronic drums every time. Obviously, I love like Sheila's kit during the Sign Times and Love Sexy, where she had an acoustic drum kit, but she also had triggers, with something like the dog bark and all that kind of stuff like that. I think like a hybrid drum mode. And I really do think that the drum sound of 1999 and Purple Rain tour, and I'm talking about the tour, not the studio recordings, gave it a different vibe that really can't compete with the acoustic drum set, which the time was rocking on,
right.
Jelly Bean. And, Jelly Bean is a phenomenal drummer. That's my personal opinion.
I could see that point. It was just, they
Well,
were Frankenstein's month. I mean, those guys, and the thing is, those guys are super talented and they were just so clicked in, and they were playing music that works with the band that's gonna play like that. Like, it'd have been different. You asked them to probably play like Computer Blue or something, but
I think, but that's, you actually said a good point. Clicked in, and the reason why they clicked in was they had been playing with each other since teenagers. So, like, a real band is a band that they don't even have to communicate verbally. They can communicate with their instruments because they kind of know each other's styles. So they were dialed in more as a band than the Revolution was, because just of their legacy together, being teenagers and battling the bands. And and from all accounts, Battle of the Bands in Minneapolis was not amateur hour.
right.
Like, these were like professionals, even with teenagers at this particular time.
That was their rap battle, in terms of like, you had to be on point, who was the best type of thing. And what, too, I guess, and think about it, everyone in the time, it's an unspoken unity in that as well, in terms of like, oh, we from the same area, man, we about to get ours. We not, we out here, we got to kill them. Just that mentality. We got to represent for where we coming from. Damn him, man, we gonna tear this down. They have put themselves in a position of being the underdogs, which they were, and had to fight. I don't know. I think we may have lost D'Angelo. Rocking. Oh, there she is.
I'm here, but something's going on with my camera. So let me.
It's all good.
I have to talk to the people.
So I'm gonna go out here and do my little song and dance. I just, if I can, sing and dance. No, but yeah, just to reiterate again, I just love hearing Prince being put under some sort of pressure to succeed. Uh-oh. Lord. I hope she's all right over there. But yeah, so there was just always a question of that. But yeah, man, I wish I could put up some of these comments. But I'm curious, for y'all in the comment section, did you guys ever, what do you guys think about that? Did the Revolution and the time, could they have coexisted going past this time? Yeah, lead, the spotlight is on me, baby. I love the light. Show me the light. But yeah, that's one of the things I always wonder. But going back to this particular tour right here, I still am very much astonished that Prince would even give the Time and Vanity sort of the stage like that. Because their stuff, the material was dope, man. I mean, all of these guys are talented, and him coming behind that, killing them, um, is a wild thing. Are you there? We see you.
I'm there. I'm having to switch to another camera. I don't know what happened. So this is me on a different camera. I hope that you enjoyed Michael Dean. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. There you go.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Yeah. Lee Christian Spotlight is on Michael Dean. Stone Freak. Prince wasn't letting the Time or anyone outshine him again. I do want to go back to some of these comments, though, about the acoustic versus electronic drums. Lee said that electronic drums often sound or fall flat, making the sound not as rich or energetic, ironically. And Stone Freak said the Time was straight up funk and nasty as a band. The Revolution was more musically tight, but those electric drums on stage didn't give the same stank on stage.
Okay.
And then Blake Brown said, judging from fan recordings of the 1999 show, the Time Vanity 6 performance sounded more like a huge party. P's performance was a spectacle. Blake Brown, I'm so happy that you wrote that. And that's actually one of the things. I prefer the 1999 tour for Prince over the Purple Rain tour, because I felt like Purple Rain as a tour became a spectacle. It was like really theatrical, like the whole
show or something.
Yeah, it was like a theatrical performance. And for me, I was used to Prince just like jamming and performing, and so, that's the reason why I like the Controversy tour better than the 1999 tour, because it was just like music, like no drama, no theatrics, no spectacle, just music. So thank you so much for all of these comments. And let's see. Think if P would have had the Family, Maserati, Sheila, and the Revolution on the same tour.
Nah, that would have been interesting.
That would have been.
It's a lot too.
And Ricky says, I would have loved to see the PR movie rivalry play out on tour. I think it would have elevated each unit. Yes, that would have been really fantastic. Seeing
I could see that tour not surviving too, though.
Yeah. But I have to say, and this kind of goes back to when I think of the Purple Rain tour, I actually don't think of Prince. I think of Sheila, because
Really?
Sheila opened for Prince, and Sheila's her I don't, they weren't LED back then, but like those drumsticks, they lit up in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
That was incredible. I had never seen anything like it. And also, I think we know that I'm all about girl power. And, Sheila was doing her thing. And The Glamorous Life, to this day is one of her marquee songs. And more than that, marquee performances. Whenever Sheila performs The Glamorous Life, she just tears it up every single time, never fails. Mm-hmm. And kind of like what we were talking about last week, Michael Dean, about Nasty Girl and how it never ages. It's classic, it's ageless. I feel the same about The Glamorous Life. It doesn't sound dated to me. It's just like timeless. It's a classic. So it would have been interesting to have like another triple threat tour for Purple Rain, of having Sheila E., The Time, and Purple Rain. That would have been really
I just can't. The Time when they're doing Jungle Love, The Bird, The Walk. Yeah, I mean, they would kill. That would be like, ugh. And they were cold at that point, like this. Ugh. And then Prince coming after that, I'd be head buster.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
And Celie says it's a great mystery because how difficult it would have been to keep all those moving parts together. Whenever I think Prince missed an opportunity, I realized that his temperament was what it was. Yeah, I'm sure it was getting harder and harder to juggle, his like astronomical success, you know, with all of his side projects and all the things that he wanted to do. And Ricky's saying Prince may have first at that time to incorporate the drum machine during his live shows, may have been the first to incorporate the drum machine during his live shows. That's an interesting Ricky comment, and I'm curious if someone knows that for certain, because you probably are right. I remember that being a knock against Bobby Z. Yeah, indeed. And he said he began to hate replaying the Purple Rain film score, nearly had a nervous breakdown before the end of the tour. Kim says Prince didn't like Purple Rain's tour spectacle after time. It was stagnant. Yeah, the show was didn't change that much until he introduced like that Possessed Irresistible Bitch medley, which is my absolute favorite. Of whenever I watch the tour, that's the only thing I watch is those two songs. And then Baby I'm a Star at the end, only because Sheila comes out again, because I'm a huge Sheila fan. Blade Brown would have been sensory overload for some crowds, but not all.
I think a lot of crowds would have been exhausted. Get back into it. Oh, okay. Oh, you know what they could have did? If they would have just incorporated them all as one performance. Almost play it like the movie. I guess it really would become a Broadway play, but if they performed in the context of Prince, so it wasn't like they did a set of this. Maybe Sheila could go open the show, but the real show was Prince and Morris together like that.
Right.
At the time, that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to line our heads up.
Out in the middle. What the fuck's wrong with you, kid? And the crowd be boo. Told you before, the place is no stage for your person. And then Prince coming.
So Ricky's making a really good point. Let's put this into context. Prince was 24, 25 at the time. 24, 25. And this was a lot of responsibility. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we're almost to the end of our time together. And I want to talk a little bit about next week. And then if we have a little time, we might not have enough time. We'll see. Give me 1 second. Almost getting a hang of this. So this past week, we read pages 27 to 29. This week, we'll be reading pages 30 to 32, which will be Sunday, February 13th through Saturday, February 19th. And I think we have time. I wanted to talk about the Triple Threat Symposium and just invite all of you to come. The website is live, and I'm going to put it here in the chat for all of you. And you can see like who's going to be there. Michael Dean is going to be there. That's all you need to know. And it's going to be Friday, March 31st through Sunday, April 2nd at NYU 10 and in Brooklyn, New York. It's basically going to be where the Love Sexy Symposium was held, but it's going to be 2 different locations, hopefully. It's a long story. But it will be in person, but it will also be live streamed and archived for those of you who cannot join us. And then there is free Eventbrite registration if you click on this. So we got 47 days, 10 hours, and 29 seconds to go. And we're going to be celebrating Prince for 40 years of the album, Vanity 6. What time is it? In 1999. Again, 3 days. And let's talk about who's going to be there.
Yeah.
So if you go to the People page, we got the core 4. We got Zaire Ali. We have Mike Allain, who will be partnering with Kirsty Fairclough. They do their own Prince Symposia and conferences. Malay Arya, who did a phenomenal presentation, but she's going to, for 1 + 1 + 1 is 3, but she's going to be on a roundtable. Krista Battersby, you can meet her in person, who's been our community manager. Scott Bogan, who most of you should already know, is going to be on a roundtable. Dan Charnas, who's the author of Dilla Time, which I've already talked about earlier today. Formerly Monique W. Morris, who's now Monique Kuvson, is going to be there. Camila Cummings will be presenting. Christopher A. Daniel will be representing the ATL. Anil Dash, one of the core four. I already talked about Michael Dean and myself. We're also going to be doing What Did Prince Do That Week on that Saturday live from the Symposium. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then Kirsty, like I mentioned, Monroe, France, Troy Gua. Most of you should know Troy Gua with Little Petit Prince. We got Zach Hoskins from the DMSR blog. We got Greg Howard, a fantastic musician. We got Chris Johnson of Purple Nights podcast. We got Jason King, one of the, I can't say enough about Jason King, so I won't start because we're running out of time. We got Law. We got Miles Marshall Lewis. We got Robert Loss. We got Miss TLC. We got Declan McCarthy for the first time. Super excited. He's coming from Europe to be with us in person. We got C. Lee McGinnis. We got Joan Morgan, who is a powerhouse. We have Mark Anthony Neal, who is a powerhouse. We have Ronna Nicole, who is amazing and lovely. We have Jason Orr, my dear friend from the ATL. We have Tanja joining us, and I don't want to mess up her last name. How do you pronounce her last name, Michael Dean? Do you know?
Right, just put that on me. Hey, Tanja.
We don't want to mess up her last name, so we're not going to say it. We're going to have Tanya Pendleton. We're going to have Elliot H. Power from the Core Four. We have Brittany Proctor Habil, who just wrote the 33 and a third book on Minnie Riperton's Come to My Garden. Cassie Ritchie, who's going to be all about the fashion. We have Adam Rudiger, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, I'm probably not, so please forgive me, Adam, but he is going to be talking about 1999 musically. We got Chanisha Scott, we got Robin Shumays, we got Aisha Staggers, we got Laura T-Bird, we got Karen Turman, we have the author Turnbull, there's only one, who is brother. We got Casey Rain from The Violet Reality, and
I didn't know Mark was.
Well, he's not officially, but officially confirmed, but he is going to try to make it. And let's just go back up at the top. More speakers will be added, but speakers are subject to change. Just so you know, the speakers are subject to change. All right, so we have we're over by 3 minutes, but I really wanted to share about the Triple Threat Symposium because less than 2 months away, and I am trying my best to get some Prince guests to join us. I'm super excited if they come through. If they don't come through, we're still going to hold it down, but I'm crossing my fingers and hair strands that we're going to have some very, very, very special guests. So send up some bat signals to the heavens above to make sure that we can actually make it happen. And yes, Celie, that's a whole heap of programming. And if you can't make it, again, we're going to live stream it. But for those of you who can make it, we are going to have a blast. And I hope that you'll come and join us in Brooklyn, New York.
I look forward to it. My first time coming to New York, too. So,
wow.
New York family, please embrace your boy. Come on now.
Yes, come on now. All right. So have a great weekend. And thank you so much for joining. Have a great day.
See you.